Hello viewers, you're welcome to the part 2 of my video. Landlord and house agents want to kill tenants in Lagos State, Nigeria. In my last video, I talked about some of the attitude of the landlord and the house agents to tenants in Lagos State. Today, I'm going to continue from that video from where I stopped. Now, you can see these house agents. Most of these house agents, they are crooks. Most of these house agents, they are crooks. You see, when they get a tenant into a house, you can see within the next 2 to 3 years, in what they do, they increase the rent of the house. And when they increase the rent of the house, they increase it so high, even up to 100%, because they know that it will be very difficult for the tenant to pay that particular amount of money, especially if that tenant has just packed in new. He spent money in painting, spent money in doing a lot of works in the house. So after a period of 2, like 3 years, they increase the rent. Once they increase the rent, they know that the tenant will not be able to do that. And why some of them, if they want to chase the tenants out of the house, they're looking for every way, every means possible. One of the strategies is they increase the rent 100%. Why? Because they know that it will be very difficult for the tenant to pay the rent 100%. Even that 100% will be more than what a new tenant that want to pack into the same house is going to pay in that locality, in that environment. And why do they do this? They do this in order for them to get another commission and agency fees, and also they will now collect a cushion fee from the new tenant. They'll collect another commission and commission fees, agency fees, and get a cushion fee. All this will go to the house agent. This is the main reason they do this. They turn tenants into their ATM machine. They turn tenants into their cow that make money for them. They turn tenants into their money-making machine. Instead of them to go and look for a better work to do, or their mates are busy selling land, selling property, making cool money, they are here turning tenants into their money-making machine and threatening tenants, telling them it's either you pay the increase of 100% or you pack out of the house. And once you don't do that, the next thing they're going to do is to give you a quick notice to pack out of the house. And the tenant, before you know it, you start looking for how to pack out of the house. You don't have the money. You start going to look for where to borrow money from. Who is going to borrow you money? You turn into a beggar. You start looking for, even at the end of the day, at times you might not even have money to get a better and good apartment. You go and get an apartment in a very small, you go and get a smaller apartment, or if you go and get an apartment in a place whereby the environment, it could even be a slum. You say, oh, it's cheaper here. It's cheaper here, but do you think about the safety of your family? It's cheaper here, and before you know it, before the period of 4 to 5 years, a particular tenant have moved, packed out from one place to another. That's packed out up to 3 different places. Why? Because of the house agent and landlord attitude, increasing rent exorbitantly, using that to threaten tenants out of the house. Within the period of 4 to 5 years, you can see a particular tenant have lived up to 2 to 3 different places. Because once you be back into that particular place in the next 2 years, before you know it, they increase the rent of the house. At times, we are lucky in 3 years they increase, and once they increase, it's 100%. In order to chase it out, in order to get another agency fees and what payment fees and get cushion fees, and all this is the house agents. Because most of these house agents, what they do, they talk to the landlord, they tell the landlord, hey, this is what people do. Once you have a new tenant, after 3 years, you increase your rent 100%. You chase that tenant will go away. Once that tenant goes away, you collect on an agency fees, you collect on an agreement, and you collect on an cushion fees. This is what the agents, they turn the head of the landlord upside down, they turn the mind of the landlords, and landlords are now also obeying them and doing same, increasing the rent of something. At the end of the day, the bulk of the money goes to the house agent. Even the landlord does not get much out of the money. And now you as a tenant, you keep on packing from one place to another, one place to another, one place, and you don't have the money, you don't have the means, you keep on going from one place, and at the end of the day, you become financially stressed. You have financial constraints. You can no longer take care of your family very well. At the end of the day, you might end up in a slum or in a one-bedroom apartment, managing with your family. Yeah, you cannot even feed and take care of your family very well before you know your children will become street children because they must go out to go and fend for their needs because you cannot fend for their needs any longer. Your children start getting joining different kind of gangs, involved in crime which they will not have involved in. Even your wife, because you cannot take care of your needs, start moving out with other men. Seeing other men that can take care of their needs. If care is not taken at the end of the day, the woman can divorce you and break up your home, break up your family. Why all this started with the house agent? What is it? Stop running away from this house agent. Enough is enough. Today, I want to tell you your power you have as a tenant. The power you have as a tenant and your right to have as a tenant over the landlord and over the house agent that increases the rents of this house exorbitantly. Now, this house agent, they grow fatter and fatter. They get bulk of the money. Even the landlord get little or nothing out of it. That is what this house agent does. They talk with the landlord. They make agreement with the landlord. Oh, I'm going to increase the rent of this house 100%. You have to drive this time. When this tenant come out, this is the percentage you are going to give me if I do this. This is what is going on. This is what they are. Enough is enough. Stop running for that house agent. At the end of the day, they threaten you. Either you pack out, either you pay the money to pack out. They threaten you. At the end of the day, you are scared, you run away. Why run away? At the end of the day, you don't have the money, you go and borrow them, then you end up in debt. At the end of the day, you end up in frustration. Your wife leaves you, your children leaves you, they abandon you. At the end of the day, you start going to drinking, to alcohol. You don't think about living again. Why should you permit this house agent and another drive you into this madness, into this kind of life? I want to tell you today, your power as a tenant and your power as a landlord. And your power as a tenant and your right as a tenant. And what is that power? It's a very powerful tool in your hand you can use against that house agent that is threatening you. Enough of that begging. You've been begging and begging and begging and begging and begging and begging. They will still, at the end of the day, they will still chase you out of the house. They will still be looking for different way to remove you out of that. Despite they tried for years, if you are lucky, they tried for years, and God has been fighting, protecting you, protecting you, protecting you. And maybe you have a means to pack out, you would have packed out. Nobody wants anybody to stress him. Even the Lord said you should have quiet enjoyment. They don't give it to you. But what should you do? You don't have this money. What should you do? Use the power in your hand. Fight for your rights. Enough of the begging. You were begging enough, begging enough. They pushed you to the wall. Once you pushed a man to the wall, you chase the man, you always get to wall. The next, the man will fight back. That is it, fight back. Legally fight back. Fight back legally. You have that power to fight back. You have the right to fight back. And what is that power? Go to court. Challenge that increment in your rent. Challenge it to court. Drag that landlord to court. Drag that house agent to court. Challenge it. And I want to tell you, the money you pay, the money you go and pay for a new apartment, you go and borrow that money and end up in debt. No matter how small that apartment is, the money you are going to pay or you pay for an agency, you've been paying for an agency fees, an agreement, and cushion fee. I want to tell you, when you drag that landlord to court, you drag that house agent to court, you will not spend half of that money for a court case. Bet it me, ask any lawyer. I'm talking to you. Ask any lawyer, you will not spend half of that money for a court case. And the court will step in and fix a reasonable amount of money you're supposed to pay for your rent. This is the power you have. You drag them to court. You begged enough of the begging. Now it's time to fight them legally. Take them to court. If that house agent is a woman, drag the ass of that bitch to court. If the landlady is a woman, drag the ass of that bitch to court. Tell them enough is enough. If it's a man, drag the ass of that man to court. Drag them to court and challenge them to court. The money you go and pay for a new apartment for cushion fee, you paid for agency fee, you paid for commission. You go and borrow that money you don't have. You go and borrow. Why should you go and borrow? You can use to pay for a new apartment, even the apartment is not better than the old one you are living. You challenge them in court. You will not spend half of that money by taking them to court. You drag the ass of those pastors. You sue those bastards to court. If there is a house agent, if it's a woman, you sue that bitch to court. You sue them to court, drag them to court. I want to tell you the money you're going to spend in that new apartment. You go and borrow that money and go and pay for agency fee, pay for agreement, pay for cushion fee. You not spend half of that money in court when you drag them to court. And the court will step in and put a reasonable amount of money that you're supposed to pay. And if they tomorrow, if they rise this up tomorrow again, because the next day I want to use my property, you want to drag them again to court. Drag them to court. As long as you can prove to court that it's because they failed in removing you out of the house through increment of through the increment in your house rent, they can never chase you out of that. The court will stop them. You win the case, the court will stop, and you remain in the house. Instead of you to keep moving within a period of 5 years, you've packed up to three different places. Why? Because of this house agent. Enough is enough. The begging is enough of the begging. It's time to fight. The Lagos state government have to step into this matter before this matter goes out of hand. Because the law doesn't give a percentage of increment, they have to increase the rent. That's why you see increase the rent to 100%. The law says it has to be reasonable. I think the law fixed a particular bar to say 30%, no more than 30% or 40%. What is there? You came into an apartment where you increase the rent of a tenant this year. Give that tenant the next 2 years. This is 2026. You give him 2027, 2028. In 2029, you can increase the rent. Be giving him 2 years gap, or you give him 3 years gap in 2030, increase the rent. Then whatever prices that have increased in building material, whatever prices that have increased, those prices in 2030 or 2029, you will fix those increments in the new rent, and the tenants will be able to prepare. Because by then his income must have risen, because he knows that his rent will be increased. He also is prepared and will be able to meet up the increment. But this, once they increase your rent this year, some house agent every year they keep increasing the rent. When they increase it this year, next year they will not increase it. The following year they will increase it. For what? Stop begging and stop running away. The money you go and pay for that new apartment, you go and borrow that money and pay for the agency fees, agreement, and cushion fee. You will not spend half the money to drag this bastard to court. You sue this bastards to court. Not paying half of the money, and the court will fix a right amount of money you need to repair. And you see that you're able to pay the money. When tenants start exercising their rights, start challenging these bastards in so-called name of house agents, I want to tell you that this situation will begin to go down. And also the Lagos state government has to step in, start tracking down all these agents that are involved in this, all these crook agents, because they are frauds. Start tracking them down and start dealing with them. And also they ought to create a law whereby if you are a tenant, you go into an apartment, you are not in the apartment. After a period of 4 years, you have to pack out of that apartment because of an increment in rent. That is 100% increment in rent that you cannot afford. Before you pack out of the house, that landlord or that house agent, let them must vomit out your agency fees, your agreement, and your cushion fee. I think if they do a law that will make them to vomit this thing out before you as a tenant, you pack out of that house, I think all these things will stop. Because why are they doing this? These house agents are doing it because of the commission, because of the agency fee, because of agency fees and the agreement and the cushion fee. That's why they're doing it. But if there is a law that says if a tenant stays in a house, it's in an apartment, not up to a period of 4 years, and that tenant had to leave because of an increment in rent, then the agents, the landlord, they must provide the agency fees, the agreements, and the cushion fee them. Then that particular tenant has paid 100%. This rubbish will stop. This nonsense will stop. Stop running for the house agent. Stop running for that landlord. You have a power in your hand. It's a very straight. You have a power in your hand. You have a tool in your hand. You can use that tool. That tool is a very, very powerful tool in your hand. What it has to sue that bastard to court. Okay, if you love this video, don't forget to subscribe to my social media channel. And also, if you love the video, kindly drop your comment below and share it on all social media platforms. And don't forget to share your own story and experience with house agents and landlords. Thank you for watching.